Are you looking to take a real ride into the paranormal? Well, come on board to Night Dreams Talk Radio for the best in talk radio with Gary Anderson.
Our intro music is provided by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com.
Well, hi everyone, this is Gary at Night Dreams Talk Radio. Hey, make sure you share us on all your apps. Let your friends know about Night Dreams Talk Radio. It's very important on the app that you click like and follow and share. That way I know who's all listening. Tonight we got Anna Marie on. She's going to be talking about, well, trees. No, not Christmas trees or trees in your, well, even trees in your yard. I even think cutting down those poor Christmas trees. Is kind of sad. But, Anna, you there?
I am here.
Well, how's your weather and where you're at?
You know, I'm in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains, and we're really dry this summer, and we've had some wildfires going on. So if everyone could send us some wet thoughts and rain, that would be really great.
Well, I can certainly send you weather from here in the harbor and in Washington State, and I'm more than happy to give it to you. I mean, I'll give it to you by the gallon.
We'll take it.
Wow. Hell, so bad. But what I like about the state you're in, there's so much to do. A lot of my friends ride motorcycles, and that's one of the states they kind of like heading to, for a road trip.
I'm a motorcycle person myself, and I have a Yamaha V-Star, a 1200. It's like riding a couch, and I love it. And your friends are absolutely right. There's no place better to ride than in the mountains of Colorado. You have just hundreds of miles of open road and winding road and just so much to see and take in. It's amazing.
Oh, wow. So I got a biker chick here, huh?
You got a biker chick here.
Okay. How long you been riding, kid?
Oh, my gosh. My earliest memories are sitting on the tank of bikes. And then when I was in my 20s, I got my license, and then my own bike followed shortly after there.
Well, I've been riding off and on since I was like 18 years old. I'm now 66. I never crashed except for last September of all these years. And up till this past year, because other health issues, I haven't been riding like I normally do. I think I maybe this summer only put on 1,000 miles. Normally, I'd be putting on right about now up to around 12,000 miles. I ride about 18,000 miles a year. But, last September, I stopped into this little cafe me and my wife go to, and there was another old biker there, and we were talking, and he asked me, well, how many times have you ever crashed? And I said, well, I have never crashed, ever. Never came close to it. And like I said, I ride about 18,000 miles a year. Not 20 minutes later did me and my wife, we were on the way to the Harley dealership to buy some more that shiny chrome for the bike, right? Going up this windy road, going off the freeway, going up to there, the light changed. There I was up on a hill, kind of, with my wife on the back, and then there was a truck in front of me. The truck took off. I gave it a little bit of, the throttle, hit about a 6-inch rock, and that's all there was.
Oh, every biker who's listening is like, ugh, everyone's heart just sank.
Well, you know what? I mean, here it is, too. I mean, the bike was less than a year old. And, you know, it was like the very first new motorcycle I've ever bought. I've always bought like 1 or 2 year old bikes. I mean, for years I rode a was it 600 series or 650 or what you ride. That was years ago. I rode Hondas virtually all my life. And then all of a sudden, back a few years ago, after I retired, I graduated to Harleys. And, boy, it made me sick. But, you know, the thing is, the hard part is watching my wife fly off. Like in slow motion, you know, she's behind me. I watch her kind of fly off the bike. And then, you know, I try to keep the bike up, and it was just no way. And I went down, and I slid about 20 feet underneath that bike. And that bike weighs about 850 pounds. And, boy, I felt every inch of that bike. But that wasn't the hard thing. The Harleys, they're notoriously, you know, hot on the motors. I mean, you can put a TV dinner on it and cook a TV dinner while you're riding. And that was like, I tell you, I had so many burns and all that stuff after, you know, got the bike off of me. Anyway, that's my story about biking.
Oh, man, that's a tough one. Shiny side up always, right? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, but hey, I've been done good, though. I mean, you know, we're talking a lot of years.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, 40-some years and never crashed, never came close to it. And then I had a brag, and that's what did it.
Oh, it's just so heartbreaking, and it's true. You know, they say there's only 2 kinds of bikers, those who've gone down and those who will go down. And I've been fortunate. I've never had anything serious. They've always been little, you know, tiny dumps on gravel, something like that, or trying to do something technical and going down, but nothing too vital to myself or to the bikes, thank goodness. You know, knock on wood. Good grief.
Yeah, but then you always have to, what I hate too is there's 2 times a year I hate. Beginning of summer, because people kind of are not paying attention, you know, the
They're
cars.
not aware.
And then when school starts, you know, you get all these people, you know, doing their last minute school shopping and all that stuff, and they're more paying attention on, you know, where they're going and not paying attention to bikers.
Yeah, it's so very true. And, you know, again, I live way out rurally, and we have about a mile of dirt road, which is never easy on a big motorcycle or any motorcycle, really. And so I know that I've been leaning more towards even looking at trikes just to kind of extend the season to somewhat. We've got great weather for riding almost year-round here. So yeah, I might be graduating into a trike at some point.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. Older I get, you know, it's getting a little harder to get on and off the bikes. You know, sometimes I can get right on it and right off of it. And then other times, like, getting off of it, like, hey, well, you know, go ahead and start your cigarette or cigar. I'll get off of it. Well, before you're done with it, at least. But, you know.
There's a hitch in my giddy up. It's going to be a minute.
Oh, yeah. You know, but I had a friend that had both knees done. He had his first knee done, his second knee done. And then, you know, the doctors assured him he could go back and start riding. And the only thing he could do was get on a trike. He just could not handle riding, a big bike anymore.
Yeah. And the thing is it's about being out, you know, being out in the elements. You know what it's like driving through all the microclimates, and you have a whole different relationship with the world around you. And so, you know, my thought is, okay, 3 wheels, 2 wheels, you know, of course I've got a little ego, pride thing going on there too. But my thought is, I do it. I love being on the road. I love being on the bike because of the freedom and the connectedness to everything around me. And so I can do the same thing a little bit safer on a trike.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, coming on my property, I got to go a quarter mile on gravel. And, you know, I always wonder, well, today am I going to bite it? You know, haven't done it yet. You know, I almost did that one time up in going to Las Vegas. I pulled off, you know, in this little area, and it was like loose gravel. Number one mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of walked it out of there after I managed to get into it, and I watched the tires sink in about 3 inches into the gravel. I go, no way am I going to try riding out of that one.
Oh, good thinking on that one.
Now, we're going to be talking about trees and stuff like that. I will tell you one thing. You know, I lived in Tacoma for quite a few years, and then about almost 20 years ago, after a couple drive-by shootings in Tacoma, we decided to kind of go out more of the country. So we moved out to a place called Gig Harbor, Washington. back then it wasn't half the amount of people there is now. It wasn't built up, and there was a lot of trees. Now, where I'm at, I'm about the only one left. I got 2 acres of cedar trees. And everybody else did, but they, bought the property, built houses, and they all logged it out. But you know what I find? Like, I could be super, super depressed. I could have the worst day going on. I'll go out by the fish pond. I start looking at the trees, believe it or not. And then I look at the squirrels running up and down, or the raccoons hanging there, or whatever. And I'll tell you, it's the most relaxing thing I ever felt.
Well, and there's science behind it. That's the neat thing, and it's all in an odd way ties together. Us talking about the motorcycles and being connected to these other elements. You can smell so much better what's going on and where you're driving, and trees give off an aerosol. And the scientists actually don't even understand why they do it or what it is. And anyone who studies essential oils is going to know that aerosol is going to contain all of those constituencies that are in that tree that we use for other things like healing. Aspirin comes from the bark of the willow, and so there are inherent healing properties in the trees, and one of the ways that they give it to us is through these aerosols, and we can smell it when we get in a grove of trees. The other thing that happens when we're in trees, and nature really, but especially pronounced with trees, are these negative ions that are put out. Now, all of us in our modern day lives, we are bombarded with positive ions, and they're looking for balance, and so they pull all of our negative ions out of our organic structure because they're looking for balance, and this puts us a little off. The EMFs, the electronics, the radio waves, the microwaves, they're etching at our physical nature on a cellular level. And when we go out into nature, we are flooded with negative ions, and it helps us recharge, and we feel better. And so often we even feel that inspiration, and that's when we've really started to connect in with that inherent intelligence in the forest.
Oh, yeah. Well, another thing I've noticed, when you're out, doing a ride, let's say you're going through a forest or whatever, national or state park, and all these trees around you, besides, taking your depression away, the air seems so much more cleaner. You feel better about yourself. And riding a motorcycle, I seem to connect more with nature.
Absolutely. Because you're part of it. We are nature. We evolved in nature. It's only in our recent history that we've been removed from nature, and we've become domesticated as humans and trained to look at and trust sources outside of ourselves to confirm and affirm anything that's going on for us, instead of being connected to nature and tuning in, to that higher wisdom that comes through, and we can be our own guidance. Everyone talks about how the world's going wacky and you just don't know, and, you got to make plans for what if something bad happens. Well, the biggest thing that any of us can do in the face of all the uncertainty in the world is to connect back to our natural state, where we are connected to our intuitive abilities. And that's what I love about the trees, is they helped me connect. I didn't know. I was like everybody else. I was like, you get a couple random hits here and there, but you don't really feel like you have any special abilities. And it's only because we don't understand the nature of energy. We are energetic beings. Those plants out there, those rocks, there's energy flowing through all of them, those animals, and we can connect because we are animals too. But we've forgotten, and this is just, it's so basic, and yet it is a portal to this expanded consciousness and awareness, and even tapping into our ultra human abilities. And it just starts with sitting under a tree. So,
Anna Marie, when did you notice all this stuff? How old were you? I mean, what were you doing? All of a sudden, you discovered this. I mean, me, I haven't discovered that yet. All I can say is I can be in a deep depression, or I can be mad at somebody, like my wife. And I go out, and I sit outside and look at the trees, and all of a sudden I'm not mad anymore, or I'm not depressed.
Well, and the beautiful thing too is you've got those cedar